Hey guys, wanted to shoot a follow-up video on my R129 98 SL500. Suspension and brakes are all done, finally. Got the car back on its wheels, have driven it about 30-40 miles now, so the suspension's now settled. And the car looks phenomenal. It looks just so cool. And don't know if the video will capture how great it looks, but I'll just pan and you can see how it looks. At first I thought the H&R springs were gonna lower the car about 1.5, 1.6 inches, but now that it's settled, it's closer to 2 inches. Actually, it's about almost exactly 2 inches in front and just under 2 inches in the rear, so it looks great. And the car handles fantastic and has very good stopping power now with the later year R129 SL500 SL600 V12 brakes, which is the aluminum Brembo 4-piston calipers up front with the 334mm rotors, and then in the rear, this car came from the factory with just a solid rotor, so now it has an upgraded vented rotor, which is larger, and then also larger calipers. So it's got really good stopping power, and certainly can feel it when you get on the brakes. In terms of suspension, with the new Bilsteins and the H&Rs, the car feels very confident and has a very nice, very firm ride, which I like, and I think really complements the way the car drives. Back in the 90s, when these cars were built, Mercedes was still playing catch-up on suspension, and these cars were quite high from the factory, I guess, based because they were built for so many different markets, and they were very conservative in terms of ride height, but Mercedes finally were catching up, and certainly required BMW and Porsche to help them with that, and to some extent the Japanese sports cars. So from the factory, they were quite highly sprung, and quite a bit of wheel gap. And now with the new H&Rs and the Bilsteins, it's actually where it should be. Luckily, this car has the 18-inch monoblocks with the package, so the wheels fill out the fenders really nicely, and it actually has an overall, just a fantastic look. So the car looks so cool, and actually this is how it should have looked from the factory. So anyway, I wanted to share that video with you. In terms of thinking back on the work, there were three things that I felt were the trickiest parts of the install. One was separating the steel hard lines from the rubber lines at each caliper. It required using heat. So definitely have a torch ready in terms of a MAP gas torch. Otherwise you'd end up rounding off that nut on the flared fitting, which will not be good. So a little bit of heat on that compression fitting where it flares goes a long way in separating it from the flexible rubber line that connects into the caliper. So that's one. The second thing is the rear control arm. Requires two people to help line that up once the spring and shock is on it. It just wants to kick out about an inch, and it really requires another pair of hands to help guide it. And the third is the bleeding of the brakes. I recommend bleeding the brakes at about 30 psi with a power bleeder. I actually bled the brakes over 2 days. I bled it, then I drove it, then I bled it again, and it finally has a pedal pressure like it should. The factory, some articles say 10 to 15 psi, but I would recommend higher than that just to get all the air out of the system. So just some tidbits there and some advice if you decide to tackle this at home. So anyway, some more videos coming up in the car, and hope you enjoy it. Take care. Bye.